Russia is attempting to wean itself off of the US dollar in international trade, as do other nations like China and Iran. The aim of this process, known as de-dollarization, is to create a financial system that is less vulnerable to Western sanctions. Russia is attempting to enhance trade with other nations using their own currencies and is advocating for payments to be made in its own currency. Additionally, this is an attempt to give Russia more control over global trade and less reliance on the dollar. By actively pursuing de-dollarization, Russia is lessening its reliance on the US dollar in global trade. Russia has been pressuring other countries to pay for its energy exports in rubles or yuan, and Russian banks have started opening accounts in Chinese yuan. The goal of this action is to create a financial system that is less vulnerable to Western sanctions and to lessen their impact. Furthermore, Russia's economy is set up to profit from the energy conflict. In an effort to reduce its reliance on food imports and acquire more clout in food diplomacy, Putin has also concentrated on raising agricultural productivity. Moreover, Russia's emphasis on de-dollarization is associated with its utilization of natural resources as a means of exerting pressure. Putin has said that although Russia won't completely give up the dollar, its holdings would be drastically reduced. Like Russia, China likewise wishes to lessen its reliance on the US dollar in the international economy. China is attempting to do this, in part, by expanding the use of the onshore yuan, its own currency, abroad. Furthermore, China has been working toward this goal for a long time. For instance, it has promoted the use of the yuan in trade with significant exporters of commodities and energy, such as gold, copper, and oil. Additionally, using the yuan rather than the dollar for trade with China will become more convenient as a result. China has also opened its markets to international investment. The demand for the yuan will rise as a result of making it simpler for foreigners to invest in and purchase goods and services from China. Furthermore, China has agreed to expand the onshore yuan's trading hours, making it even more accessible. This permits foreign exchange activities to continue until 3 in the morning Beijing time. As a result, using the yuan and conducting business with China will be easier for foreign investors and traders. Today, a number of causes motivate China's efforts to expand the yuan's usage abroad. Reducing the US dollar's hegemony in the world economy is one of the key goals. The US currency is frequently employed to impose sanctions on nations such as Russia. China intends to lessen its reliance on US dollars and gain more clout in the world economy by making the yuan a more attractive substitute for the dollar. Beijing also wants to maintain the yuan's status as a viable global currency in order to combat current geopolitical unrest and negative perceptions, particularly in the US. Nevertheless, despite these initiatives, the yuan still has a ways to go before it becomes a significant worldwide currency. Compared to other major currencies, it trades at a relatively low volume and is still closely regulated by the Chinese government. Concerns about the nation opening up to COVID mitigation methods could also make things more difficult. Nonetheless, it is important to note that China has one of the world's most dynamic economies. Additionally, it has a great deal of room to grow, which might eventually propel yuan use abroad. Additionally, Russia and Iran are working together to develop a gold-backed cryptocurrency that they think will eventually be able to take the place of the US dollar in world trade. The token of the Persian region, as this new cryptocurrency will be known, will be introduced in Astrakhan, Russia, a unique economic area. The primary objective of this action is to raise annual trade volume to $10 billion by reducing the use of the US dollar in bilateral transactions. The fact that this cryptocurrency is thought to be less volatile than other digital assets, shielding investors from abrupt swings in the market, is also one of the key drivers behind its creation. The Bank of Russia has stated that cryptocurrencies must be made legal for use in international payments. It hasn't, however, yet disclosed a detailed strategy. Furthermore, in their trade settlements, African countries intend to discontinue utilizing the US currency and the euro. This implies that when they purchase and sell things, they will do so using the South African rand, their own national currency, rather than the dollar and the euro. Western sanctions are now the cause of this shift, as they make it harder for Russia and Africa to pay for goods with dollars or euros. Russia has been utilizing more of its own currency in commerce with nations like China and India in an effort to achieve this goal for a while now. Saudi Arabia has declared that it will adhere to the same guidelines. Furthermore, this shift is probably going to result in increased investment and commerce in the future between Russia and Africa. According to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, the parties are drafting documents to alter their cooperation in light of the Western sanctions. Furthermore, by 2024, trade between Russia and Africa is expected to exceed $40 billion. Because of all these de-dollarization initiatives, the US administration under President Joe Biden now faces the possibility that nations like China and Russia may continue to shift away from the US dollar as a key currency in international trade. The dollar, which is currently the most valuable and influential currency in the world, may suffer as a result of this. It might also result in a change in the balance of power, with nations that depend less on the dollar possibly becoming more powerful in the world economy. De-Dollarization is evidently gaining traction as nations seek to lessen their reliance on the US dollar in international trade, as you can see. The intention behind this is to create a financial system that is less vulnerable to Western sanctions and to lessen their effects. Furthermore, if they replace the dollar with their own national currencies and cryptocurrency backed by gold, the balance of power may change. Additionally, nations will depend less on the dollar, which could lead to their having greater sway over the world economy. Experts in U.S. Treasury and finance believe the Biden administration needs to keep a careful eye on this development and devise a plan to keep the dollar at the forefront of the world financial system. According to a Reuters analysis on Wednesday, China has likely saved $10 billion on crude oil imports so far this year as a result of record-breaking volumes of cheaper oil being imported from Venezuela, Iran, and Russia, all three of which are subject to Western and American sanctions. By taking advantage of cheaper crude cargoes from the three oil exporters under sanctions, China has been able to save billions of dollars on its crude oil import bill, even as international benchmark prices have increased since July owing to a tighter supply. Based on data from vessel flow monitors P.R.O and Vortexa, Reuters has determined that between January and September, China imported a record-breaking amount of 2.765 million barrels per day, BPD, of crude oil from Russia, Iran, and Venezuela. China would have had to pay $10 billion more for its crude imports if it had purchased same volumes from non-sanctioned oil producers, according to figures provided by Reuters. The proportion of those imports to China's total purchases of crude oil in the first 9 months of 2023 is anticipated to be 25%. According to the Reuters analysis, over 21% of China's imports of crude oil came from Russia, Iran, and Venezuela in the same time of 2022, compared to just 12% in the same months of 2020. Even though the price of oil has increased recently and the difference between Russian crude and international benchmarks has shrunk, Russia is still China's top supplier of crude oil. According to Financial Times estimates based on Chinese customs data, during the first half of 2023, China imported 2.13 million barrels of crude oil from Russia, helping Russia unseat its OPEC Plus partner Saudi Arabia as the world's top supplier of crude imports thus far this year. China has also increased its purchases of Iranian crude as a result of the U.S. sanctions against the Iranian oil trade being less stringent this year, as well as growing competition from India for cheap Russian oil. What are your thoughts on Russia, China, and Iran, and do you think they can overthrow the US dollar? Let me know down below. If you want to continue to learn about business investing and financial education, we have got this video waiting on the screen for you to check out. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.